Good afternoon. Welcome to Indie Prophecy Watchers and News. I'm Pastor Eric, coming to you again with another update. I know it's been a while. I've been in conferences and different things like that that's been going on. So I haven't been able to really put everything together and get it out here and tell you what's going on. This is Election Day Tuesday, what they call Super Tuesday. I hope you voted. If you don't vote, you really shouldn't be able to say anything if things don't go the way you like. And if things don't go the way you like, that's why you vote next 4 years. I'm here today to talk to you about some things that in the last 2 decades I have been warning and teaching and explaining and showing the different things that are taking place on the planet that are leading us into the last days. The United States is at a pinnacle at this particular time, a true threshold. Under the Clinton administration, many of these things were put into power. They were reinforced by Bush Sr. Bush Jr. just kind of ignored most of them. In the 8 years of the Obama administration, he and Joe Biden pushed these things, added to these things, and just increased our threshold time of the time that we are approaching. If you vote for 4 more years, you'll get a reprieve of about 2.5 to 4 years. If the administration changes for president, then we will cross the threshold after January of 2021. The United States needs you to get out and vote. Voices that are conservative, voices that are Christian, voices that just simply want to tell the truth and they really don't have any political at all, are being silenced currently. Because so much of the political power is left, and left-leaning. The satanic left understands that our time frame of the church is just about over, and they can smell the death of the church. During this pandemic, in states all over the United States, the government told the church what they could and could not do and how they could and could not get together, and the church allowed it instead of standing up for its rights. We were too worried about a fake pandemic coming. The amount of people that have died in the United States is terrible, but it does not make pandemic levels at all. I warned you in March that they would try to close us down again for Christmas. Fauci has already said that we need to bite the bullet and not get together for Thanksgiving. What do you think they're going to do for Christmas? I'm surprised as many things went on for Halloween as they were, but Halloween is a satanic holiday, so it really doesn't surprise me. But if you notice, you can still get on an airplane and fly, but you can't meet in church. These inconsistencies are terrible. Fauci goes on and tells you that the masks don't work, and then tells us we have to wear them all the time. These inconsistencies are lies. Because Satan can't get his act together to keep things together, and his own people can't. Liberals are so angry with everyone that they even fight each other if you don't agree with one liberal or the other's opinions. We see this in the terrorist groups. We see this in these, I guess you want to call them resistance things that people say they are. They're not really, but that's what we're told. I mean, you know, you have Antifa. Antifa is not a good group. I mean, they are one of the worst groups you could ever be involved with because they don't stand for what they tell you. And you may get mad at me about Black Lives Matter. It's not that Black Lives don't matter. It's that the group itself is incredibly satanic and doesn't stand for the blacks. If they stood for the blacks, they'd be there when the blacks kill blacks. Not only when they think a white has killed a black or a Mexican has killed a black, they'd be there all the time. And they don't. They don't care. They only show up when it's going to be, or try to be, racially motivated. If you do your research, you won't be mad at me for this. America, we are so close to being a socialistic, or what they call a progressive socialism, of total government control and property ownership and healthcare control, that most people just don't realize it. I have talked to you for years about Agenda 21. I've talked to you about Agenda 2030, which is what the Agenda 21 used to be. The Green New Deal, it will destroy America real fast. And Biden is pushing that. There's no way America could ever do that without being destroyed. But Biden wants to close down the coal companies that produce our power. He wants to go ahead and send these jobs back overseas, which started with Bill Clinton and NAFTA. Now they're talking about the economic recovery or Great Reset, which will tax the United States so heavily that it is a transfer of wealth, but it's not from the white people to the black people, or from the white and the black to the Mexican. It's from the United States and from Europe into the Asian and African nations. The money will not stay in this country. As well as that, as it will go to the United Nations foundations to do whatever they want to do. If we enter into that, your freedoms are lost. Think about how much censorship is being done now, and we're still considered free. It won't be long before people who, just like me, who are teaching you and showing you and trying to get you to wake up, that we have no more voice, at least on the media systems. Facebook censors. Our main ministry is on Facebook. Indie Prophecy Watchers Ministry and News on Facebook. We work on this channel from time to time, and I tend to be on here more. But these are fair use channels according to the FDA, but yet at the same time they censor, which is supposed to be legal. And Bush already signed the agreement that said they couldn't censor, but there's just too much going on because it's out of his hands in most respects. The Lord Jesus Christ is about to return, guys. Did we get a reprieve by putting Bush back in the White House, or do they jump feet first into the kingdom that's coming? This Saturday, November the 7th, is our last prophecy night for the year. Maybe our last prophecy night for a long time, guys. The information that I will share will be broadcast on Facebook as long as Facebook doesn't kill it out. But you do need to come in person if possible. If you're in the Indianapolis area, you need to come. The information is on the prophecy page on Facebook. It's listed there, address and everything. Time frame. And you need to understand that this may be your last chance to really hear people talking about what's going on. It's not going to be just me. It's going to be everybody out there who has a Christian faith, or maybe not a Christian faith, but just understands what's happening. There are a lot of conservatives out there who aren't Christians, but they see these things that are happening and how we're socializing. 50 million university students have already been indoctrinated into this new religion that has no God except for the state. Some of these are the ones that are protesting and trashing buildings and ransacking buildings and looting. You know, you have a right to speak, but when you begin to loot, you're nothing but a thief. These things are about to come to pass. The United States is set to be a United Kingdom with Canada and Mexico. Nothing wrong with that, but that's why you don't hear the Democrats pushing our laws about immigration. In fact, they're always fighting against them because they have already signed the agreement to join this. Trump just pulled us out of it, and they're upset about it. But there's things that you need to understand, that some things are set in motion, and we're not going to come out of them just simply because one president did something, because Congress has the ability to counteract a lot of the things that the president does. And so we are affected by things. The EU, if we go to Europe, we are already looking at a two-nation state continent. The northern nations, from Germany and Denmark, Sweden, the Scandinavian nations, Poland, Czechoslovakia, many of those countries will go with Germany. And we'll have the Northern Union. The Southern or Western Union will be England and France, the low-lying countries, which are Belgium and Holland, Spain and Portugal and Italy, Greece, Albania, Serbia, those nations, the return of the Roman Empire. The Club of Rome has already divided Europe this way, and it is working. Brexit is part of that. And France and England have already talked about working on a union together. And Spain, Portugal, and Italy have agreed to go. And so has Greece. And Austria sits on the post. They don't know if they want to go with the Germans or if they want to go with the French and English. But the dividing lines are there. Russia is left out of that. Have you ever heard of United Africa? Look that up. The United Africa is to make Africa a one continent, or to make at least 3/4 of it, because the Muslim northern nations along the Mediterranean will probably are working on becoming either part of the restored Roman Empire, or they may form what is still being worked out as a caliphate for the Muslim nations, which would encircle Israel, by the way. But 3/4 of the states of Africa are working to unite Africa as one continent. 50 nations have already signed up, agreed, and are working, some are not African obviously, to get Africa to that state. But China pours tons and tons of money into those third world war nations in order to get them built up for what is coming and to have control. The Asian world would be broken between China and Japan. And then there's Australia with New Zealand. Central America, outside of Mexico and South America, will be one state, and then South America will be one state. This is set up through the Club of Rome, who is in charge of dividing the planet up. And they are trying to divide her up into 10 kingdoms. Sound familiar out of Daniel? This isn't fantasy. These things are in the works. Laws have been put into place to make them happen. Laws that are being enforced by the United Nations and many other nations around the world. In fact, the United States has enforced these laws, making some of these wars that we have seen as a UN peacekeeping force, and caused us to go to war repeatedly since World War II. It's time to wake up and realize what's taking place. The beast kingdom is at our door. If things don't change and the left gets in, we will very shortly become a total socialist nation, because it's set. The Democratic House has already set the laws into place to be passed as soon as possible to remove private property and to destroy private businesses. It is working with a plan with the large businesses, Walmart, Amazon, Google. Do I need to continue? Other major companies like that they will own more than 90% of the business in the United States and around the world, working with whatever government gets put into place. Bush pulled us out of NAFTA because he didn't want the United States to disappear and be united with Canada and Mexico. And the Democrats went after him. Hot and heavy. He put the embassy, into Israel. A promise had been made for multiple presidents and never done. And the Democrats went after him. The satanic left is determined to destroy America as quickly as it can. Because America is what keeps us from going into the beast kingdom through the power of the Lord Jesus Christ and God above. Please wake up, America. Please vote for 4 more years of a reprieve. And understand that this is a God-given time. I don't know if we'll have 4 years. I don't know if we'll even have 2 more years, guys. The trumpet may blow and the church may leave. But I do know that we are at the most important crossroads that this country has been for a very long time. Pray as you vote. Think about it as you vote. And I'll see you at the Prophecy Night on Saturday at 7 o'clock. See you later.